Every year hurries into spring, blooming and leaping into growth. Summer thrives greenly, burning through the long days until we are finished with the heat and long for chill mornings and temperate days. We yearn for the blazing colors of autumn. In the winter, the land rests, dormant after 3 busy seasons of sprouting, growing, and fruiting. Nature needs winter, her time to regather resources as fields lie fallow and nutrients gently decay to enrich the soil and nourish later plantings. Writers hurry into projects, creating and crafting stories and blogs into growth. We thrive on generating ideas to develop those blossomed stories, and we burn through projects as we sketch and draft and revise until our projects reach fruition. Just like nature, writers need to let their projects lay dormant a season before being reborn as a published work. Time to let projects sleep. How this episode will help. Welcome to The Right Focus, a podcast for writers at all levels, headed up by M.A. Lee with the assistance of Remy Black and Edie Runes, all from Writers Inc. books. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Show episodes can be found on therightfocus.blogspot.com. Write to us at winkbooks at AOL.com. Our podcast episodes last as long as it takes to fix a quick dinner, drive a short commute, or take a brisk walk. M.A. Lee is currently offering her novella The Lion's Den as a freebie when you sign up for her newsletter. Write to winkbooks at AOL.com and ask to join to get the link and the free novella and then the current newsletter. As for today, we're bookcasting with Think Like a Pro by M.A. Lee, copyright 2017, revised 2018. In this episode, we have Chapter 6, One Slice of Advice, Let It Sleep. We're talking about creativity, our subconscious mind do its work to improve our writing. Just like the seasons, writing projects flow through the year, including a dormancy of winter. We need to allow some projects the time to be buried, as winter buries the land in cold snow before the spring sun warms it back up. I have advised you to set deadlines and keep them. I want you to have nulla die sine linea, daily writing, as your mantra. I've spoken heresy by preaching writer's block doesn't exist and counseling you to write something, even if it's not what you're working on. Yet now I am saying to let a project sleep. Am I talking out of both sides of my mouth? Am I contradicting myself? No. I'm talking about projects. After the seasons of creating and drafting and revising, we need to let a project sleep. Close it up, cover it over with another project, walk away for a time. But it's finished, you protest, and I respond, is it? The benefit will come in the creative process. The conscious mind may have cacked from immediate contemplation. The subconscious, however, continues to filter in new resources. That happened with this very guidebook, Think Like a Pro. It's the reason I have a revised edition. Save your final edit for the project's dormant season. When editing begins, new ideas may surface that will enrich the project in ways you did not fathom as you designed and drafted, then blazed through the revision. Here's the reason. Sleeping awakens the dreaming creativity. I have urged that we should not wait on inspiration. Inspiration waits on us. It lurks, waiting to spring out at opportune moments. It will plant itself where it belongs. As it grows, inspiration may reach into unexpected and unwanted areas. It may require gutting and inserting, reworking, and resequencing the original. Acquaint yourself with the work of Tony Buzan. Buzan explores the realm of creativity. He patented the term mind mapping for a particular style of idea exploration. Mind mapping and similar explorations come into play not just at the start of a project, but also after any season of dormancy. Many writers have created collages as inspiring guides for a project. The collage or mind map can be just as useful when approaching a supposedly finished project. Without any editor, the hardest part of our brain to turn off, will create the dreamlike state in which creativity thrives. Follow the growth of inspiration, and the transformed project will be so much better. You will no longer begrudge the laborious hours birthing and nurturing, pruning and training to meld the new work with the old. Whether you decide to launch to the next project, or whether you decide to spend some dreaming time with this project, you need to kindle the right side of your brain to awaken creativity. Here are 10 ways to spark creativity. Number 1, tilt your head sideways. This means to think unconventionally. Look for unusual connections. Play a game to find different ways to match up things. Unusual connections. Play a game to find different ways to match up things that aren't normally matchable. Ink becomes tattoos, becomes hieroglyphs, becomes spiderwebs. Another form of this is to transform the use of a common object. For example, turn a brick into a bird feeder, or a pencil holder, or a kitchen trivet for a hot pot. Never follow where the brain leads. Do both with pen or pencil and paper, not on computer. Using the hand to draw letters awakens the brain. Doctors Carey and Aaron Barron discuss this in their book, The Creativity Cure. Tony Buzan has several videos on YouTube as well as books that describe mind maps. The visual flow of words is in an open cluster form to which is added color, which pleases the brain. Use flowing, curving lines and circles rather than straight, blocky lines and squares. Don't edit. Follow the brain's path, not your own. Embrace absurdity in this exercise. The type of absurdity Lewis Carroll, Monty Python, Salvador Dali, and the Marx Brothers are known for. Number 3, dream writing. You've heard this one before, I know. Write down your dreams as soon as you awaken. Don't try to make sense of what you are writing, just write. Jot down what you remember. A form of this is the escape exercise. Enter on writer's block doesn't exist. It's part of the writer's refusal. Don't strive for complete sentences when you're doing the exercise. Phrases and single words work just as well. Come back after a few hours and turn these notes as well as any surfaced ideas into a journal. Avoid perfection. You are capturing ideas and broad plans. When you dip back into the writing or cycle back in, you can develop the ideas and plans and expand the scene with details. And if you aren't keeping a writing journal for random ideas and mind maps and dreams, start now. Dream writing is the system used when doing writing sprints, Chris Fox's 5,000 words per hour, and cycling, Dean Wesley Smith and his writing into the dark. After the sprint, cycle back into the writing for improvements, development, and enhancements. Number 4. Scenarios from observation. Go to a public space. Select a single person walking past and write down 10 observable facts. Use those facts to background to this emotion and what actions will they take next. Number 5, switch genres. I discussed a form of this exercise also in the chapter on writer's block. Doesn't exist. This time, however, turn a story into a poem, a nonfiction self-help blog into a rap song, or write a story to the movements of a musical composition, such as Strauss's Thunder and Lightning polka. Moving from music to words is a switch-up called translating by John Ingledew in How to Have Great Ideas, a Guide to Creative Thinking. He has described how Vasily Kandinsky used classical music to inspire his abstract music becomes brushstrokes. If you don't wish to switch genres, that is, switching will make you kick and scream, then try out the story challenge known as flash fiction. Ernest Hemingway, has the best example of writing a story in 6 words. Here's his: for sale, baby shoes, never worn. There's a whole lot of tragedy in that. While Hemingway is often credited with flash fiction, Wikipedia says that similar challenges predate him. Number 6, 7 in 7. Over 7 days, draw 7 different objects. Coffee cup, apple, lamp, koi in a fish pond. More. Add as much detail as you wish, but don't try to exact. Loose form drawing is better. Avoid stick figures in this exercise. Number 7, knolling. Knolling. Knolling is lining up similar items in an organizational juxtaposition. Now, while in number 6, loose form sketches were better for knolling, you will have rigid organization. The difference is that you are not writing or sketching, you are placing items. The rigid organization that requires the analytical left brain frees up the right brain for creative thoughts while you work. Group similar tools in parallel or perpendicular ways. Pens and pencils are similar. Place 3 forms of rulers beside them. You can use office supplies, utensils in a kitchen drawer, makeup supplies, tools from the household toolbox, anything. Anything that has items for a similar use can be gnawed. Of course, don't forget to put everything back in place. Feng Shui suggests moving 17 items before beginning your work for the day, whether that's items on a writing desk, in work files for better organization, in the pantry or linen closet, in that junk drawer or storage, whether it's on computer and organizing all the files there. Moving 17 items makes you feel fresh. Number 8, sleep on it. This is not number 3, dream writing. Write down a problem right before you go to sleep. This should be the last thing you do before you turn out the light. If you have a work issue or a sticky issue in a story, write it down. When you wake, your brain may have given you an answer, likely in symbols. Number 9 is storyboard. Time your story through a series of panels similar to comic book blocks. You may use stick figures and basic representations of items. You can be detailed. You can write captions for each panel. Characters can speak and bubbles and have light bulb moments. Number 10, awaken the brain with creative outlets in different media. Creative outlets in different media. Listen to music, make music, play an instrument, sing, dance, draw, paint. Color the designs in Celtic images or mandalas. Use an adult coloring book. Embroider, knit, crochet. Craft a recipe. Do slow-moving exercises like tai chi or flexibility or yoga. Work with blues and greens and pencils or markers of paint, all in creativity. Create a collage for each of your primary characters. Work on one character at a time. Don't edit. If you see an image that strikes you as interesting and fitting, cut it out and paste it on the page that you're making the collage on. That part pays. Old magazines work very well. Your Pinterest feed may have interesting images to use. Screenshot and print them out before cutting them out in different ways, not just around the picture. Cut them in circles and squiggles and scallops and things. You can use stock photos as well. Don't look for specific images, just browse. Photos as well. Don't look for specific images, just browse. You can also take a series of photos while in a public place. People, objects, plants, cars, buildings, sidewalks, everything is literal and everything can become figurative. All fodder for your creative brain. While it sleeps, creativity relies upon the suppression of the active left brain in order to let the subconscious right brain speak to us through symbols and images. As you engage in 13 exercises as daily activities, 1 a day over 2 weeks, you also need to look for other things to keep your hands off the project you are letting sleep. On farms, winter is the season used as prep season. During the cold months, when the earth lies dormant, farmers look over their fences and barns and sheds, over their equipment and their records of previous years, and over their livestock and seed hoards. They are engaged in repairs, restocking, and reconsidering. What should we writers do while our projects are sleeping? Well, for repairs, look for a project that you abandoned because it wasn't quite working. Reacquaint yourself with that project's concept. Then work through a mind map or collage or a similar creative tool. This is in addition to the other creative activity you are doing on that day. The season of sleep for this abandoned project may have given your subconscious time to work on the corner you wrote yourself into. Did it have a Damocles sword hanging over it, something that distracted you from the project's fruition so that you could just not focus on where you were in the project? Perhaps after a season of sleep, you can discern the sword of Damocles that interfered with your project's completion. You must do that analysis in order to determine what cut through by dangling overhead. Or pick up the next project you're contemplating. Do its research. Determine the lodestone that will keep you returning as it develops from planting to growing to harvest. Restocking. While pursuing a project's completion, we all have a stray idea or 2 or 3 that wanders through our minds. We make a note of it, then continue on with our primary focus. Many writers keep an ideas journal. In downtimes, I peruse it. What can I use now? What can still wait? Which ideas' time has come? During a project's dormancy, return to these stray ideas and give them a home. Which ideas speak more and start to develop into a story? Which ideas still must wait? Which ideas' time has come? Which ideas' time has come to turn into a project? Sketch out a chosen few of these ideas or even take them to the outline step. Map out their start to finish, then decide how to fit them into your schedule of upcoming projects. These newly homed strays are not yet a project, however. Set them aside. The time for their planting will come. Even if it's only a couple of weeks. Take a look at this writing business you are pursuing. It is a business, right? No longer a hobby or escape, but something you are pursuing for income. Is the business seeing growth? Or do you seem to be digging into the same infertile ground? We'll look more at tracking the money in the next episode when we review some tax tips for writing. Not all the money in writing is badly used, but we also have corners we need to keep watch. You need to track your days. Count the days during the year when you actually wrote and analyze what happened on your unfruitful days. What time did you waste? Another time expense occurs with our relationships. We do need to devote time and money to family and friends. Humans are social creatures. Just look at the most introverted people you know when they are placed with people they love, talking about something they feel in their heart. They're gregarious. Driving to and from major family gatherings is not a waste of time. For these gatherings, if you feel you must write, and can't write in the back seat because you're the driver, how can you use this time? Talk to them about movies, the characters, the plot, the setting. You're getting a layman's view of story. A truly helpful passenger will write down anything you dictate and could brainstorm ideas as well. Track your energy. Time and money are not the only element of your cost analysis. Are you properly using your writing energies? Refer back to Writer's Block, the 3 episodes on refusal, procrastination, and inertia. What things energize you? We all have moments when everything flows out, clear and clean as a mountain stream, rushing so quickly we can barely get the words down. These moments are to be celebrated. We also have moments when we feel totally drained. Creative writing is difficult at such times. We don't have to lose those moments. By keeping works in various stages of progress, we can edit and correct, even if we can't truly write. In addition, we have moments when we need to get them down. Writing can sometimes be more grunt work than fired work. Acknowledging the adage that writers rewrite becomes a boon, we know, and can make note that this scene just isn't right, not yet, but it will become better. This grunt writing is one of those times when we can record the problem before we go to sleep. Our subconscious will work on the problem and present the answer the next morning or during the next day. We do reach the end of our season of sleep. Unlike the vernal equinox, we may not have a demarcation to help us know when the winter of our project is over. Such a winter does not have a set number of days. The return to your When you have repaired and restocked and reconsidered and researched, you should feel a sense of completion, just as the land does not wait upon the equinox. If you do not feel that sense of completion, then move on to another project. Leave the other sitting, steeping, becoming richer in your mind. We are not developing products on a factory system. We are artists who happen to be authors. We are writing other projects until the creative impulse for the first project returns. Sometimes spring is reborn early, in days. Sometimes it's late, in weeks. One day that first project will warm up in your mind. Give it the first frost, perhaps even a second. Then you can plant ink into the editing process. Even when you fly through with few changes, you have lost nothing to the winter season. When you finish this project, you have another waiting, ready to start, or in the beginning stages. Your mind can turn to it because it has let go of the first project. You didn't just end it. Can only be attained if your project has its dormancy and then reawakening. Let it sleep. Thank you for listening to The Right Focus. The seasons of sleep is a wonderful time to crunch numbers and facts. You can set up a biz plan or a biz ledger or prepare for taxes. So, next week we cover tax tips for writers. To help you gather up expensive before tax day on April 15th. Join us every Wednesday for a new episode of The Right Focus. Work in creativity, especially when you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling too